Morning, everyone, or good afternoon, I should say. So today I'm going to talk about the portal, the ePortal. And this is relatively new to the FDA, and it's a new way that you can submit pre-ANDA meeting requests to the FDA for complex products. And this is submitting meeting requests prior to submitting your application. So what is the portal? The portal is short for the CDER Direct Next Gen Collaboration Portal. I still have to read that because it doesn't roll off the tongue very easily. We're all just going to call it the portal for short. It's a website where the industry can submit information to the FDA, and you can submit your meeting requests to the FDA directly through this portal. And these meetings right now are for pre-submission meetings, and you may have been using it already for drug shortages. That's what it's currently used for. This is a new use for the portal. So what should you use the portal for? In this context, we're talking about pre-ANDA meeting requests for complex generic products. And previously, these have been submitted through the generic drugs email account. But now you can submit them through this portal. And these are pre-ANDA product development meetings, pre-submission meetings. They're not used for mid-review cycle meetings. If you're eligible for one of those, the FDA will contact you directly. So if you're ready to submit a meeting request through the portal, the first thing you have to do is obtain a pre-assigned ANDA number. This is new. You haven't had to do this in the past before GDUFA 2. And in order to do this as a process, it's outlined in our website. You can search through our website and you'll find the instructions outlined there. I've summarized them here. You have to apply for a secure email. You'll need a U.S. agent if you're a non-U.S. applicant. You'll need to know what your RLD is that you'll be submitting against. And you submit your email to this email address, and it's issued within 3 business days. The next thing you need to do is create a login for the portal. Once you go to the website, you click Request a Login. It's very similar to requesting a login for any type of website that you might use for Amazon or something like that. Choose your event. Right now there's 2 choices. One is drug shortages or pre-ANDA meetings. This is a platform we plan on expanding in the future. There may be other options in the future. Enter the required information that may be requested. Once you're approved, you'll receive a username and a temporary password. Your login request will not be processed until you verify your email. So some frequently asked questions that we get is one of the things you're going to have to do is enter your organization. And your organization might not appear when you try to type it in. That's okay. Don't worry about that. You can always enter it manually. The other thing that it's going to ask you is for a DUNS number. If you don't have one or you don't know it, it's also not a problem. You can enter it using just a 9-digit code and just put that as a placeholder. Even if you have one and you don't know it, you can use the 9-digit number. If you have any questions or need any support, there's a support email address that you can use. Okay, so my login's been created. Now what do I do? So you want to create a new request. You're ready to create a new meeting request. So you enter, again, it's going to ask you a series of information, including your pre-assignment number. So it's not going to let you get any further unless you have your pre-assigned number. It's going to ask you for what type of meeting request you're submitting for. So for example, a product development meeting or a pre-assignment or a pre-submission meeting, and it's going to ask you what your reference listed drug is. So those things you're going to have to know that before you can move on to the next part. If you're a U.S. agent, fill in your applicant information, and it's going to ask you to search for it. If you can't find it, you can enter it manually. And you're providing your applicant contact information. If you're the applicant and you don't have a U.S. agent, you can proceed on to attach the document. Don't enter yourself as a U.S. agent, so don't enter yourself twice as both the U.S. agent and the applicant if you're the same person. The next thing you have to do before moving on to submitting your meeting request is to add your documents. You have to add a document, meaning a meeting package, before you can proceed to submitting your request. It's not like the new drugs where you can submit a meeting request and you have to submit your meeting package later. For a generic drug meeting, you have to submit your meeting your meeting package at the same time. You can add more than one document. You can add a cover letter, although it's not required. but that you have to add the meeting package, which is due at the time of your request. There's several formats allowed for the different documents. I've listed them here, and we're expanding that all the time as the needs arise. When you submit your meeting request, before you submit your request, you have the option of saving your meeting request in draft format if you're not ready, if you're still developing documents, if you need to come back to it. You can come back to it later and continue where you left off. We cannot see your in-process meeting request, so you don't need to worry about us. If you're not ready, don't worry about it. It's just sitting there saved. You can delete your meeting request if you haven't submitted it to us yet. You change your mind, you're not ready, whatever, you can just delete it. It's not a big deal. You'll be asked to review it for accuracy, and then finally, when you're ready, click Submit to FDA. What happens next? You'll receive a confirmation message and an email, and then it's with us. And then the next steps are we're going to evaluate your meeting request, and you'll receive a grant or deny decision will be sent to you via email. It's not going to come to you through the portal. It's going to come to you via email. And if you receive a meeting denied letter, that's going to complete your package, your product at this time. After the break, I'm going to be talking more about a successful meeting package and a successful meeting, so we'll go into more details about that later. This talk is more focused on just the portal submission. What happens if my meeting was granted? So it could be granted via meaning that you'll get a written response, or you get a face-to-face meeting. It can also be granted as a TCON if you request a TCON. So some firms want a TCON because they're overseas, it's difficult for them to come in. That's fine, you just put in your letter request that you want a TCON, and we're happy to accommodate you there. We also may send you information requests for a granted meeting. These are going to be sent to you through email. We can send them to you at any time. We strive really to send them to you early in the process so that you can get your information back to us and we can evaluate it in time for the meeting and doesn't lengthen the process. And you respond to the IR actually through the portal. For face-to-face meetings, we will send you a preliminary response approximately 5 days before the meeting is to be held. This is really important for you to review before the meeting so that you can tailor your meeting to meet the needs, because you're only going to get approximately an hour for your meeting. Most meetings are an hour. And you want to focus your meeting on the questions that are important. So if you need to clarify questions, so some of the questions that you get answers to, you're going to know, you're going to be fine with the answers. You're going to accept the answer, it'll make sense to you. Others you're going to want additional clarification on. So this is your opportunity to submit a revised agenda to us to talk about what you want to focus on in the meeting. You can submit a presentation. It's not required. I also recommend that you think about that very carefully because you have a limited amount of time in your meeting. We already know about the product. We know what you've submitted. Everyone's reviewed it, so it's not necessary to go over the product, to go over what you've already submitted. And these things are submitted through the portal. After the meeting, you have the ability to submit post-meeting comments to us. We like to hear these because we want to be on the same page and make sure that you came out of the meeting with the same understanding that we came out of the meeting with. We'll send you the final meeting minutes. Of course, the FDA's meeting minutes are final, and that will complete your meeting request. So one thing I do want to talk about what's next in the portal. Coming up next in the portal is two-way communication, and this is going to roll out next month. And we will no longer be sending you the IR requests and other communication through email. It's going to come to the portal. Everything will be back and forth through the portal. The great thing about that is that all your documents and correspondence is going to be in one place in the portal. So that's coming up in the portal. If you need help, there's two different avenues, depending on what kind of help you need. One is the portal support, which is the EDM support email right here. That's if you're having technical difficulties with your portal submission. If you need pre-ANDA help support, you're not sure what kind of meeting you're submitting to submit. You're not sure if this is the right time to submit a meeting. You need questions like that, you can use the pre-ANDA help at fda.hhs.gov meeting. Or .gov, sorry. And that's it. Thank you.
right, thank you so much, Chris.